How's it going?
That's good. How are you? I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me on your maiden voyage.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and showing up and always being sunshine. You're always smiling, and I really love your energy. So it's a thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love your energy too. This is really fun. Maybe it's the first of many. I just have to come over to Brussels next time. I'm just going to come through the screen. That'd be awesome.
Yes. That would be awesome. Always welcome to stay here. So
likewise with North Carolina, baby.
I know. I've heard it's really pretty there. Lots of nature, and that's what I'm looking for. So
yeah.
I might come by and just say hi.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll have to dance around a fire.
All right. Sounds good. Do we do that naked, or is it just...
Oh, no. We're surrounded by trees out here. Hell yeah.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. We can do a little witch dance.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about hypnosis. You're a hypnotist. You've hypnotized me already. It was a lot of fun for me. It was a very unique experience. It was my first time, and we're going to talk about that just a little bit later. But I think a lot of people they get the message during my readings that hey, try hypnotism, try hypnosis. It's gonna help you get rid of this, or it's gonna help you to let go of this. And a lot of people are kind of afraid of hypnosis, and I think it's just because we don't really know what is it, and is it dangerous? And so that's why I wanted to kind of bring some clarity to the world and discuss it with you, because this is what you do, and you're really, really good at it. So let's just start with a very, very simple question. What is it? What is hypnosis?
Well, hypnosis is one of those things that you'll get a lot of different answers about, but really hypnosis is a frequency of mind, and you'll hear a hypnotic trance referred to as just trance. And there are different frequencies of the mind. And what is really interesting to me about hypnosis is human beings are in a state of that trance state for much of the day. So a good way to think of it is if you've driven in a car and you've gotten to your destination and you think, oh, whoa, I don't even remember going past the landmarks that I always know that I go past. You've just been in a trance. And so what it is, and also when you're waking up in the morning and when you're drifting off to sleep, that's the frequency of mind that is very, very susceptible to suggestion. And so what happens is your conscious mind and your subconscious mind have a little bridge. And the reason that's significant is because in our waking everyday world, we have our belief system pretty much patterned, but where that belief system is located, sort of in an ephemeral sort of way, is within that subconscious mind. It's sort of locked in there. It's decided. It's not analyzing itself at all. It's just like, okay, this is what Nora thinks, and this is how I'm going to behave throughout the day because this is what Nora thinks. And so when you're in a state of hypnosis, you're able to, the person that you're with is going to get you to a place where you can have a conversation with those belief systems, see them in a more objective way. And so I think a lot of reasons that people have discomfort around hypnosis is, one, their stage performances. So I always hear, are you going to make me cluck like a chicken?
Right.
I think if you're getting the sense that somebody wants to humiliate you, they're probably not the right hypnotherapist for you. And also I'll make a distinct, there are people who will say hypnotists, there's hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Now, different people will give you different things. It's all basically the same thing. How a person does it is very different. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist, and so the training that I've had is much more holistically based. It's not problem based. So you're not going to have me go directly to the problem and say, okay, you don't have it anymore. I'm going to look at it in a more holistic way so that whatever shift that you're trying to make in your life, you're going to do it in a way that integrates fully into your life. So it's just a smooth feathering in dovetailing into your life. And a lot of times people say, yeah, my life is just better. I don't really know why. And I'm like, I know why. But it's a testament to how amazing the mind is. And so the key, so also another reason why people have discomfort around hypnosis is because they think that their mind is going to be controlled. And there are mind control things going on in the world. Hypnosis, like working with a hypnotherapist who is a healer, whose effort to try and help you, they're not going to have any capabilities of controlling your mind because you're in control. If you are in a position where you're having somebody guide you into a state of relaxation to get you into that trance and you don't feel comfortable, you can just pop your eyes open. That is your personal sovereign choice to do. And so if you don't trust somebody, I can guarantee you're not going to go into trance. It's not going to feel safe. And so that's what you really want to have is a rapport, a relationship with your hypnotherapist that feels like this person has my back and they have my best interest at heart and their work is really full of it. They have high integrity. You have to trust your gut on that because I think about, psychotherapy. You wouldn't go and have a therapy appointment with somebody that you think is a crackpot. Same thing with hypnosis. The same kind of rapport is important because this person's going to be knowing things about you that is incredibly personal, and you need to feel safe exploring those things. And I'll say another thing too, back I think in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of conversation about post-hypnotic suggestion, and that's sort of like after you have hypnosis, somebody suggests something that kind of stays in your sort of belief system. And there's been talk about implanting memories that weren't there before. If you don't feel like that would never even occur to any of the people that I work with, but they have integrity, and those techniques just don't, like, I wasn't taught how to do any of that. Like, everything that's taught from that point is from a point of view of empowerment. And that is the work that I do, and the people who have been trained through the institutions that I've been certified through are all very reputable. And, and check out their testimonials, check out their reviews, talk to them on the phone, do your due diligence, because if you don't feel it, don't go there.
Right. And I think, that's pretty much for everything. I mean, if you look for a medium, I always say, follow your instincts, follow your heart. If it feels right, then yes, this is the person for you. If it doesn't, then you keep looking. So,
and I think we've all had experiences when we set an intention and the universe just sort of provides it for us effortlessly. And I think look for that,
Yeah.
Have it unfold effortlessly. If it's really hard, take a step back, it'll come and it'll unfold perfectly. Just allow that.
Right. It might just not be the right time yet for you. So, okay. So the way that my spiritual team kind of explained it to me before I contacted you was they were saying that it is a way to bypass the conscious mind to access the unconscious mind. And it's a little bit like meditation, it's like a guided meditation. You are taking people into that trance state where we are completely connected to source and to, the subconscious mind is your connection to source, is your kind of where all your knowledge is stored. And we can access it, but unfortunately we have to get to that trance state, and that doesn't always work for people in meditation, and sometimes hypnosis can take you there. So that's kind of how they explained it to me, and I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And for me also, the way I experienced it with you, because this was my very first hypnosis, and I want to do another one on past life regression, but we're gonna have to schedule one of those. But it really felt comfortable, kind of like you were just guiding me down these steps and opening these boxes and seeing, wow, what is that? And what is that? And, and I had never seen my higher self before, not in any of my meditations. And you led me to my higher self. And the first one I saw, of course, was Eric. And I told you, I'm just seeing Eric. And you said, ask Eric to show you your higher self. And so there's Eric. All of a sudden, I see this very tall being standing next to him who did not look human to me, which was a very big shock to me, who looked more alien, a very glowy, kind of long-fingered, long-armed creature. But it was so shiny and beautiful, and it felt so comfortable, that I was like, okay, now I've seen my higher self. Never seen that before, and it wasn't what I expected. So I sure as hell knew that, this was not my imagination, because this was not what I thought it would look like. So
that's so cool, Emma.
That's what I experienced in just one session, and I think, sometimes multiple sessions might be necessary to really get you to trust, the person that you're working with as well. So,
absolutely. It all depends. Each person is different. And I think that people are used to hearing an amazing experience and think, okay, well, then that should show up for me. But as we know in life, the journey is different. I'll give you an example. Brian Weiss, who is an incredible past life regressionist, he's very famous. He's one of the pioneers, one of the three main pioneers of the type of work that I do, in addition to Dr. Michael Newton, and it's also Dr. Brian Weiss, and Dolores Cannon. And I've heard that it took him over 100 times before he himself could have his own past life regression experience. 100 times going into hypnosis. So some people just may be slow. It's been very rare for me that I've not been able to get people into trance. But then I also think that people think that it's like being knocked out in anesthesia, that it's like that, but it's a subtle place. And I think the point that you make about about meditation is a really good one. The more you're able to find your quiet space in meditation, that sweet spot is what I call it, you will have access to knowing who you are. That meditative sweet spot where you just feel detached and right. Delicious, and it's like, so that is something. And there are some great meditation apps out there that I highly recommend that are free. I use Insight Timer. I love it. And there are different kinds of meditation techniques that might be better than others for you. People who have highly analytical minds just really have a hard time shifting out of that cerebral thinking process. And that is the place where, when you're a hypnotherapist, you're taught about conscious interference. And I know about conscious interference. I've been in hypnosis myself because that's a part of the training. And so there's this, I think there might be an understanding that's helpful for people, is that they can actually help themselves to be hypnotized. They can, by listening to guided meditations in preparation before a session, and also just getting to know their inner being on a deeper level, trusting and knowing that it's possible. To just say, I'm not hypnotizable, it's not true. I really would just encourage you to keep going. And it may take a while, but the benefits are absolutely profound. I mean, it really is the gateway to your spiritual awakening. And what your spiritual awakening is knowing your soul self and having that come forward in this time of awakening on the planet. So it's kind of incumbent on the client to be ready and willing and open. And that's not easy for people. It's sort of like falling in love, right? Like sometimes you want to be able to open yourself up to somebody, but you just feel like you need to hold on to control. But this is this is a level of trust and faith that you will be okay even if you let go. And so that's why it's important that if you do go into a state of hypnosis with somebody like me, that you feel like they're able to guide you and metaphorically hold your hand through the process so that you can start to gain those inner skills to build on. And you'll be able to, the more you do it, the easier it will become.
Right. So basically everybody can be hypnotized, but
I believe so.
sometimes we kind of block it for ourselves. Maybe there's a trust issue. Maybe it's because we have expectations and demands, I think. Our mind create our reality. So if we're sticking on all these expectations and demands, and hypnotherapist is kind of doing it in a different way, then you're immediately like, this is not how it's supposed to go. Shouldn't I be knocked out? Because that's what I thought too. I thought when you go into hypnosis, you're not going to remember. It's just going to be boom. They're going to switch some stuff and you're going to wake up and it's all going to be great. But, it was a completely different process than I expected. But I knew that in order to be able to go under hypnosis, you also need to surrender. And I think that's the problem. Because I did get a lot of people ask me like, well, they've tried it and it's not working on me. But I think just like meditation, you need to be able to surrender 100% in that moment and truly let go of everything, your past, your future, your fears. It's just about being able to let go and getting yourself into that kind of a state of just being.
Yeah.
And once you can do that, then you basically take the car and you start driving us around to where we need to go.
Right.
So probably what you were trying to kind of say, that, yeah, anybody can do it. Anybody can be hypnotized. So sometimes we block ourselves.
Yeah. And so the hypnotherapist is going to show you the door. You have to walk through that door. And
Right.
Our society currently puts a lot of currency on control. And so our nervous system is really set to a hypervigilant state. And so it might just be a sensation that is so unfamiliar that it feels terribly frightening. But I just encourage you to push beyond that, because there's more. There is more beyond that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did have a question from one of my followers, and she wanted to know, because she really wants to try this, but she's afraid.
Yeah.
She's heard a lot of things, and can it be dangerous? Let's say if the person that you're using is not qualified, or he's not skilled, or I don't know, is it dangerous? Can it be dangerous?
Sure. Like anything else, it can be dangerous. I would say, again, do your due diligence, and don't trust that you are not going to allow yourself to be in the presence of somebody who doesn't have integrity. I think you just get a sense. I mean, I really want to encourage people to listen to their inner guidance. And so let's take it apart for a second. You're getting guidance to have hypnosis and you've heard terrible things. Well, talk to people who've gone to people that they recommend, and then talk to them and see how you feel. I think once you take a step beyond the fear, you'll find yourself really opening up to the fact that you absolutely can have a very positive experience. And I think too that the universe, you do call forth what you want in reality. Like you do call forth your reality through your thoughts and emotions. And so if you're staying focused on fear and a disreputable hypnotherapist, I would really take a pause and try to shift into something that's more aligned with what would be the perfect hypnotherapist for me. What would that look like? What would that feel like? How will I know? And send that out into the universe as opposed to the other.
Right, because if we send out fear, you're just going to attract something that's going to validate that fear.
Exactly.
If we send out, this is going to be an incredible experience, this is going to be, innovative and fun. If you send out that vibe, then the universe will provide you with that hypnotherapist that'll match that frequency as well. So I think, yeah, it's starting at, or look, when you think about doing it, maybe do it with a very open, very positive vibration, and in that way they'll get to meet you.
Yeah, call me.
There you go. So how fast, and I think this is another question that I got, how fast do people see changes? Can you see instant changes? I know I did. Maybe not everybody will feel that way instantly, but I instantly felt lighter. It's very hard to explain, but it was like my body wasn't so heavy. I felt lighter. I felt better. But can you really get really big results after just one session?
Yeah, well, it all depends on what you're going for. I mean, for example, if somebody's going to quit smoking and then they don't smoke anymore, that's a huge change. If you're going because you're trying to change your inner dialogue, you will notice a subtle shift initially. It could be dramatic, but it may take a couple of times there may be a lot of connecting the dots, so more areas that reveal themselves in the hypnotic process. But if you're going to have a life between lives session and you get to meet your soul self and your soul group, and maybe even see the planning process of the lifetime that you are about to, that you're currently in, and see the body choice that you made, that could have a profound effect on you. So it's just a matter of what the experience is and what you're ready for too. Just like the universe will, and all of your guides and your team will only offer you what you're ready for. So it may be subtle. Yeah. I do want to add that sometimes people in hypnosis, and I encourage, after the session, I will encourage people not to even think about what just happened, because people can analyze themselves out of the session. They can just undo everything that happened because it's like, that's weird. Like, how could that be real? I don't think that's real. I'm going to go back, like they sort of reprogram while they're still in this malleable phase. And I just say, just call it a healing day. It's kind of like when you go have a massage or you go to the spa, chill. Like, don't think, let your brain be on like screensaver mode and chill. And it'll settle in.
Yeah, just chill. Yeah, I think, and that's with everything, we try to overanalyze things. And once we do that, we really take away the value of what it was. And we can, again, boycott ourselves and really just, lock the door again instead of leaving it open. And I think that's with everything. When I talk to people during sessions, it's the same thing, just allow it to happen and don't overthink it. Just allow it to touch your heart and just go with your feelings after that. So that's probably the same thing in this.
Exactly. Well, and that's really the time that we're at, I think, in human evolution, is we're in the time of the heart chakra. The over-analytical mind is, yes, we know it's here and we do it, and it's not really serving us right now. Our heart is really where it's at, people.
Exactly. And I think with everything,
cool thing.
I think that's the switch too. How the energies are switching and changing, and we're changing. And that's really what I hear from my sessions with people as well, is that, they want everyone to really reduce this and to increase this, increase what you feel, increase your intuition, go with that gut instinct, and reduce the thinking, because it really just, it leads us and it blinds us in our path, because, we're programmed to think negative, and we're programmed to think with fear. But our hearts are always loving, and so that's why we need to bring it back to the heart. So
I'll share with you. Go ahead. I wanted to share with you a new saying that I came up with. Falling apart, falling apart. Drop into your heart.
There, I like it. Yes. It's my new mantra from now on.
I want to make t-shirts.
Yeah, that
I'll
sounds
send you one.
good. All right, cool. So you were talking about past life regression. So how does that work?
How does past life regression work? Okay. In technical terms, or like what is it like for the client? In what way?
Well, what is it? Is it just a glimpse of a past life? Are you literally taking the conscious mind to that life? Or are you connecting in it? Or is it just like a memory?
So I think the degree at which the experience happens varies for each person, but the way I like to explain it is outside of this earth conscious construct that the mind lives in, this linear reality, is where everything is happening simultaneously and there is no such thing as time. And so when we gain the access to the higher frequency aspects of the mind, we can go anywhere. And so the deeper we go into trance, the more of our mind we can access. And so in Michael Newton's work, the pioneer of of sort of the track of hypnosis that I have been trained in, he calls that the superconscious mind. Now, Dolores Cannon would just call that the subconscious mind. She just calls all of it the subconscious mind. And I'm not sure what Brian Weiss calls it. I know that he does primarily past life, but Dr. Newton takes you even beyond that into the life of the soul. And Dolores Cannon does that stuff too, which is amazing. That's QHHT. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome stuff. And Allison Coe, who's going to be on my show next week, is an amazing Dolores Cannon hypnotherapist. And I have other people that do all of the above who have been trained by Brian Weiss, Dolores Cannon, and Dr. Newton. But so suffice it to say, there are different ways of getting out into that aspect of ourselves. And in a past life regression, you are, a la the training that I've had, you are regressing through the womb. So you get access to your experience in this life and then going into the womb, which I think is an incredibly powerful therapeutic tool, because you get to connect with your soul self just as it's entered into the physical body. That's profound. And then you also, if it is something that's resonating and coming for you, it doesn't come for everybody, but why are you coming into this life? People can gain access to that in the womb itself, and that is super cool. Healing about parental relationships can happen too. Like a lot of people have, stuff with mom and dad. When you go into the womb, there's access to that unconditional love that is super healing. So that's a really profound place. So after the womb, we regress basically into the time-space continuum, is what I would say. And you are being guided by your higher self and all of the beings of light who are supporting you in a way that is totally unconscious. It's just, you get to trust that the time that we are meant to explore right at that time is going to reveal itself. So again, there's a lot of faith, because that can be, if you're stuck in the analytical mind, you can be like, oh crap, how the hell is that going to happen? That is not how you're going to get there.
Right.
You have to just totally surrender.
So in a way, it is kind of connecting to the higher self, who is then helping you connect to these other lives that you're leading at right now as we speak. Yes. So you kind of become an observer on what your higher self, where,
So we were just talking about past lives and connecting with the superconscious mind, and or just out in the space-time continuum that our mind is really the portal to. And a lot of times I like using a timeline as a visual for people to see They're just sort of floating out above their timeline, and they can see off into the future one way and off into the distant past another way, and then they see somewhere down in the past a light up. Their timeline lights up, and then they get brought to that spot, and then I direct them into that life. And so whatever is most informative and most healing and important for them to explore is what is going to be revealed. There are past life regressionists who allow people to skim lives, to go from one life to another. Oh, I'm in another one. Oh, I'm in another one. I'm really going to do my best to keep you in one life so you can really glean the benefits from that life.
They go life hopping.
Yeah, life hopping. Yeah. Yeah, you have like a little Cosmo in one hand, just hopping.
Ooh, that one looks interesting. Let's take a peek there. Oh, it's not that interesting. Let's go there.
That would be fun. That would be really fun for a live thing. Like for a group, past life regression. You could just call it that, life hopping. Play some cool music.
I've heard that people who do it, it really feels, like real, like they're there. I've heard people who've been just kind of observing, and it's really cool to see. But I've seen and heard of people who, it really feels like at that moment they're right there. It's so real, and it's so, I can't wait for mine. I'm just curious.
Well, it's different for everyone. And yeah, I know. Well, I'm excited too. And so each one is just totally different. And I think sometimes it has to do with trance depth, and the deeper you go, the more in it you are. But sometimes it's appropriate for you to be observing outside. Like if you're going through a traumatic death scene, you kind of don't want to be in the body. Been there, done that. Don't want to really feel that again. And the goal is not to feel the trauma.
Right.
The goal is to observe it from a perspective that will allow greater insight to develop. And so to your question about, like, do people really feel like they're there? The most important thing is feeling like there is healing gained from the experience. And then it feels like there afterwards, I can explain it kind of as feeling integrated with another aspect of self. And, for example, I had a client, an LBL client, who went back into a life in the French Revolutionary War. And she was a very kind of rigid, uptight guy, and died lonely and unhappy in his marriage, and realized that he had been in love with another soldier, and there was just no context to pursue that love. There was no way to even really understand the depth and meaning of that love. And because it was with another man, it was very taboo. And that caused that lifetime to be very, very closed off emotionally and painful. And she was like, I hate this life. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm such a jerk. And it's like, well, let's have some compassion around why. Like, why are you that way? We really kind of had to noodle in there and figure out why he was so uptight, and it was because he had a broken heart. And so, and it had direct ramifications to a relationship that she was shifting through at that time. And so it was hugely important for her to have that healing of the heart. And those are the kinds of profound things that can happen.
Right. And, I have had sessions with people, where their spiritual team was trying to explain, what you're feeling, these anxieties really come from another life, and you've just carried it into this one trying to solve it. And I had one lady, and she literally locked herself in her home because she was terrified of corners. And I know this is going to sound very weird. Corners. So the corner of a table, a door, whatever was kind of like a pointy kind of thing,
Sure.
completely in hysterical panic when she sees that. And so hypnosis was recommended by her spiritual team, and so she did that, and she came back, and she explained that she was a Native American and was killed by an arrow that went straight between the eyes. So the last thing she saw, full of fear and panic, was a pointy thing coming towards her. And so she carried that fear into this life. And with this hypnosis, it was gone. It was gone. She knew what it was. That energy was lifted, and she is living a very happy life now. So it's just crazy how something like that, such a traumatic experience in that past life, can affect you in this current life. And sometimes hypnosis will help you clarify it, will help you to place it and kind of give it back, is what Eric always tells me. He's like, you just kind of, you say, hey, it's not mine, haha, it's from that life.
Yeah, it's like you're accidentally carrying it. And yeah, I've had that happen a bunch of times. And I think what's important to point out too is our perspectives are what shape the experiences we have. So if we're a person, okay, so for example, what I thought about when you were talking about the Native American lifetime, also Native Americans tend not to live, they lived in teepees or more rounded quarters, and then bring the white guys in and everything is rigid and cornered and sharp. And so, like, sort of metaphorically speaking, there's a lot of, perception can have an influence on how much trauma we take into a particular situation. And so yeah, I mean, yes, hypnosis will totally. I had a client who had a pain that was undiagnosable, and he had been carrying it his entire life in his ribs. He could not figure it out. And I was like, okay, well, let's just try. He went back to a life where he had been javelined, and he had a broken heart, and there was a lot of emotional pain around it. The minute he saw who had javelined him and, sort of reviewed the life experience, and in a past life regression too, you go through the death scene and into the spirit realm, and you do have healing there as well, which is profound. He no longer had that pain anymore. So wow. Those Incredible. Are profound. Those are in it, and I can't explain it other than it worked. He was able to see it again in a new and profound way. And it worked. And I've seen really amazing stuff happen where work done in a past life regression or a hypnosis session literally alters the trajectory of a person's life. It would not have happened any other way. Just totally changes the timeline for a person.
Right. So hypnosis really can change your life in great ways if you allow it to, if you surrender to it and allow yourself to go there, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It doesn't even have to be like the super spiritual stuff. There's called clinical hypnosis, where right. If you're just dealing with stress and you're having a hard time dealing with stress or anger, things that are just like, I can't get through the day without X, Y, and Z. Hypnotherapy is good for that as well.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell, I think, it's becoming more and more known, and it's become more and more familiar, so, you look at hospitals, they're starting to, use it as well. So I think, it's just a great tool to get information and to get healing. So yeah, very, very cool. I love it. Okay. So we did receive a bunch of questions. I had to just pick some out. But, and some of this stuff we might have already covered. But, okay, so my first question was from Tiffany Williams. Hi, Tiffany.
We love you, darling. Our joy, right, Mama?
Oh, yeah, she's great. So she says, 2 of my favorite people. Yes. I've had readings with Emma and regressions with Nora, all incredible. So she's very happy with your hypnosis work. Okay, so she says, my question would be, for someone going under hypnosis for the first time with a practitioner, is it good to use guided meditation beforehand to practice getting into a deep, relaxed state? And I think you covered that yes, it was a good way of preparing yourself to get into a trance state.
Totally. And I'll say a little bit more about this. Some people are visual, some people are sensory oriented, some people are all of the above. So try different meditations that address this. So perhaps there's a meditation that is for highly analytical people. I think yoga nidra meditations, and that's often there's like a hybrid of it starting to happen, and I use this a lot too, is so when you're in a yoga class at the end and you're in shavasana, you'll be given a yoga nidra meditation, and that is just putting mindful awareness. It's a type of mindfulness technique. You're putting mindful awareness on various parts of the body. And so that takes you totally out of your head, and it's super easy. So if you tend not to be super visual, I would check out yoga nidra techniques and other mindfulness techniques. Tara Brach is a really awesome teacher in meditation. So tarabrach.com, you can check her out. And then there's guided visualizations. If you're visual, there are gazillions. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Insight Timer, there are other apps too. Listen to the voice and see if that person resonates with you. You will like some and you will want to listen, like just pay attention to what you like and find more of them. Just continue to give yourself more of what feels right, and you will not go wrong.
So basically get to know yourself, what works for you to get into a calm state, and just be able to apply that during your hypnosis session.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, we'll try for a meditation without even, it's sort of like a training in a way of training your mind to prepare for hypnosis. And you don't have to do it a long time. Some of them are like an hour. You don't have to do that an hour. There's an amazing 1-minute meditation on Insight Timer that I love when I'm running late. It just really is just a minute. So I would say between a minute and 15 minutes is really all you need to do. If you want more, by all means, but it doesn't have to be long in order for you to get the benefits.
Right. And, it's just, I think, same thing for meditation. A lot of people say, oh, it's not working, this meditation, but you need to it's like a trial and error. You have to try different things and see, ooh, that really worked, or that worked a little bit, and just kind of build it up from there. It is a training of the mind. It really is training yourself to let go.
Yeah.
Not easy nowadays because we're not programmed to do that.
Yeah. And have a playful child, like a childlike curiosity about, ooh, what's this one like? It's like trying candy. Try the meditation.
And I think just go with the flow. Don't meditate to have results, but meditate to just kind of calm down and take a breather.
And see what happens.
You approach it with that attitude. Let's just have fun and see if maybe something will happen, maybe it won't, and that's fine too. If you approach it that way, you'll get better results.
Totally.
All right, cool. So we had a question from Lisa. She wanted to know, could it help me to hear, see, and sense spirit better? I think I may have some barriers that are slowing down that process.
Absolutely. But I would definitely make sure that if you're working with a hypnotherapist, they have training in working with the spirit realm. Feel free to call me. I'd be happy to help you with that. It's a very good tool for opening up your spiritual abilities.
All right, cool. Okay, so Karen wanted to know, where did you train, and what do you think of the online courses and studies that you do?
I can't totally speak directly to the online courses. The online platforms out there are amazing. My training is through the International Association of Counselors and Therapists. That's my certification for my hypnotherapy. And then sort of like the master's degree of the hypnotherapy is the Newton Institute, the Life Between Lives, and that's more of like an artistry. And it's a lot of work, but it's amazing, amazing training. I would say, for me anyway, I'm a very experiential learner, and there are tons of people who are actually certified as hypnotherapists that don't practice. I've heard the statistic of 1% of all certified hypnotherapists are actually practicing and seeing clients. So really ask yourself, do you want the training just to have it, or do you want to actually work with people? If you're working with people, I would encourage you to be in the presence of other people who are training, because those experiential training sessions teach you things that you can't learn online. Because, for example, a physical deepener and an anchor technique when you're learning hypnosis, an anchoring is when somebody's having a really profound and important lesson, you're touching them literally to put that memory into them. Now, if you're working, I do work internationally, as I've worked with Emma, and I have ways of working around that, but there are some things that I just will not do unless I'm in their presence, and there are some ethical elements there as well. But if you want more information on where I got training, I can totally give you that information if you need specifics.
All right. Cool. So then we have Tina, and she wanted to know, I guess she's been using YouTube videos to get her under hypnosis, and she wanted to know why they don't work.
Mm-hmm. I would need to talk directly to Tina about that to find out why they're not working for her. One of the things you could try is to use a headset. I would use a headset. Maybe don't use a computer that you're looking at visually. Maybe use something where you're if it's on your phone, I think that can be fine as well. But try binaural beats. So there is an invention called binaural beats where they utilize different sound frequencies to actually take your mind and train your mind to the frequency of trance at different levels. So there's a different frequency for every emotion that you feel. And so there are binaural beats that will take you there. I would encourage you to try something like that and see if it resonates, and just listen to the ones you like and leave the ones you don't like aside. So try that. And if you have any questions, just text me. I'll give my number at the end, and you can text me and ask me more specific questions so I can guide you more appropriately. Appropriately.
Yeah. And you know, Tina, just from my perspective, what my spiritual team, I have my angel Raphael, who's kind of stepped forward for this one. He just wanted to let you know that the reason it's not working is because you really need a human connection. You're a person who needs to feel a trust and a bond with you know, what you're doing, and there's an inner fear that if you do go under hypnosis with a computer, that you might get stuck, that something, you know, there's this inner fear that you know, what if I can't get out of the hypnosis, and you need you would feel safer with a person with you who is there to wake you up. That's really what's going on. So it's a fear, and that's why you can't fully surrender to it, because what if? You know, that's what Raphael's telling me.
That's so cool, Emma. Thanks, Archangel Raphael. I love you.
Oh, he says he loves you too. He loves what you do. So keep up the good work, he says. Okay. Let's see here. I have Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
What does Nora think of quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is Dolores Cannon? What does she think of the training courses offered in the QHHT? And the rest we've discussed.
I think the technique I use is the only one, and I'm the only one who can do it. So if you're going to go with anyone else, forget about it. Just kidding. Just kidding. No.
But I do think you're right there for a bit, because, you know, with everything that we do, whether it is being a hypnotist, whether it's being a medium, we all have our own unique way of doing it, no matter where you've trained. Yeah. There is something unique about you that makes your sessions your sessions.
Totally. You know? Well, and I think when you get the training at a certain point, that is that making it your own piece that you have to step into, that everybody, I think, who's ever put out a shingle on their own and done their own thing realizes that you have to just embody whatever it is that is yours and just own it. But getting directly to the QHHT, it's amazing. So I think people are going to be guided to what's more resonant for them, or maybe there's a step. Maybe, one technique will take you through the door, and then the next technique will take you to a deeper place. So just trust your guidance. There's different techniques because there's just so many different people and ways of connecting, and so it's all good.
Right. It's all just about finding the one that resonates with you, I guess.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, Karen, where did you train? We've already talked about that. Melinda, can you access the Akashic records, past lives, higher selves, and spirit guides?
Akashic, Akashic records is a term that some people really resonate with and others don't. Look at it in terms of every moment of consciousness has never been lost. And so by connecting with the collective consciousness, you have access to everything that you've ever thought, known, or done in this lifetime or any other lifetime, and others. And so it can get a little heady thinking about it, but the short answer is yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah, we're all one, and so all we need to do is find a way to connect to that, and that's what we call those records. But it's really just a collective of energy that's always present. All our lives and everything we go through is energy, is frequency, and so that can never be destroyed. So it's always present. It's always accessible, I think, if you find a way to do it. I guess.
Well, and so that's what's so beautiful about the subconscious mind, and you'll hear about this in near-death experiences, reports of near-death experiences, and also people who have had life between lives sessions, is that the mind creates and constructs imagery that is resonant for where you're at. And so one person may see an angel being, and another person may just see a pillar of light, and they may be getting similar messages, but it's the imagery is there to help them bridge enough so that that information can be understood and internalized, and so that there's no dissonance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we can answer this one, but Lori's asking, what dimension do you go into in a hypnotic state? Now, I don't know much about dimensions because they always tell me, those are just labels that people put on different frequencies. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think dimensions are, they're for us, again, to understand. They're constructs for us to understand, and there's an infinite number of dimensions.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think we're multidimensional here.
Yeah, probably to different dimensions, I guess. It depends on what past life, for instance, is at what frequency. And
right.
I think it's probably different dimensions.
I would bet Eric has something to say about that.
Yeah. He does. He always has something.
He's always got something.
He never shuts up. But I love him. I love him. He's my guide. I chose him to be my guide in this life, and so I like it when he doesn't shut up because it makes me feel like I'm never alone. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, but that's what Eric is always talking about. All these different dimensions, and people are worried because I want to get to the fourth dimension, and they're stuck in the third dimension. And he's saying, you just really need to let go of trying to label these different frequencies and just really allow yourself to go into the frequencies that you feel most comfortable with, and you'll be in exactly the right one that you need to be in.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's not like you're going to just be like, oh, I am now in this dimension, and then I'm going to step over this imaginary line and be in this dimension. Right.
Or it's not like, oh my God, she's still in third. You're a loser.
Yeah, or my foot, it's stuck. It's stuck in third.
You're gonna you're gonna change and vibrate, at your own pace into whatever frequency resonates with you. And it's just kind of like a radio, the old radios where you had to turn the button,
Yeah.
Find the right frequency.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is. The
Totally.
radio has millions of frequencies, and you just need to turn into the one that works for you.
And you would know that, my dear. You would know that, being a medium.
Well, yeah, what I do is, for me, my method of channeling is translating energy and frequency. I don't see spirits like they're standing right next to me in their human form. I know that how they communicate is energetic, and that energy just translates through me, and so, yeah, I'm all about energy and frequency, and that's really what it is. I tune into the right energy frequency, and the music comes out of my mouth.
So cool. Yeah, it's all energy, people. It just is.
It really is. Okay, so Julie wants to know, I've been told I cannot be hypnotized because of the medication that I take. I did try it and it didn't work. Is it true that medication can block it? I take medication for bipolar depression.
Yes, that is true. It's true. And I will also say that sometimes people have head injuries, and that can interfere as well. So, that's sort of like an anatomical anomaly that would prevent it. And yes, and I would say, I wish I knew which medication specifically block, but maybe talk to your psychiatrist about something that doesn't block. Maybe do some research around that, because I have actually heard of people who've had some abreactions, is what they call it in the hypnotherapy world, where a person reacts in a way that's very emotional, connected to an event that they're experiencing. And when you're on a pharmaceutical drug, that can sometimes prevent you from having a therapeutic dynamic open up. And knowing that, I think you could probably get an adjustment, maybe temporarily. I mean, I am not a doctor, so I can't say, but I would imagine that perhaps there's a way of working with your physician to so that you can have this experience.
Right. Just open communication and just see what your possibilities are. And yeah, so I think
and a hypnotherapist should talk to the doctors. That there should be an easy willingness to communicate with doctors.
I think that those relationships will get better and better too as we move forward into the future. Same thing
Absolutely.
with mediums and energy healers. There is more and more doctors are going, we have
why not?
It works. It works. There's plenty of proof out there, but it's always being suppressed.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're slowly opening up to all of that.
Yeah, we're coming. We're coming.
Okay, let's see here, because it looks like some of these questions are the same. Kathy wants to know, I'm considering either hypnosis or regression to help me with my weight issues. Yeah. I have only tried hypnosis once, and I just couldn't go under properly. So is there something I was doing wrong? Probably surrendering. But can it help? Can it help?
Oh, totally. Yeah. But, I would say that weight is a very, very cunning adversary. It's very, very tricky. And I think if you're working with the right person and you are willing to go very deeply, and I would also say, because this has happened personally for me, is if you're having a negative experience, so I'll give you an example of a client where I was doing a session for overeating. We went to it, we regressed to his earliest memory. Regression was a part of it. The whole thing was hypnosis. But he went back to his earliest memory of where he started nourishing himself with comfort food. And I was like, this is an amazing session. It was awesome. Well, what happened, he started being triggered into emotionally eating, like binge eating immediately after. And I said, you must get back into a session with me ASAP. So if you do that, you just have to be really clear with the person you're working with, that, and they have to know how to work with you, that there may be some things triggered, and that that's an incredibly powerful therapeutic opportunity time frame, and it cannot be ignored. It has to be really looked at and dealt with. So you need somebody who's incredibly proactive, but if you're ready to go deeply, you can totally change really anything you want to change.
Right, because I think everything always comes from an energy background. It's got roots. I just call them spiritual roots. Illnesses, being overweight, being obese, having whatever problem it is, there's always a spiritual root that's attached to it, and hypnosis can kind of get you there.
You can trace it. You can go back to the originating event.
Yeah. So cool. Okay, so last question. Mahali wants to know if you can hypnotize yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you do that?
That's basically, I know. Well, that's basically what the guided meditations are. If you can find something online, or if you find a script that you can recite and record and do yourself, or if you can write down affirmations for yourself that you want to create suggestions for in your subconscious mind. A hypnotherapist should be able to help you to create a self-hypnosis protocol for yourself, but you can also read about it online. You can buy books about it. There's tons of stuff out there about self-hypnosis, and yes, it works great.
All right, cool. So real quick, how did you get into this? How did you decide I'm doing hypnosis? Was there something that triggered it? Was there an interest?
I was doing a lot of energy healing at the time, and I read Dr. Newton's books, he's written a few books, but Journey of Souls is his first, and Destiny of Souls is his second. Very dense, incredible research and case studies of over 30 years worth of private research where he was taking people into the spirit realm. Absolutely mind-blowing, incredible stuff. And I had been searching my whole life. I had been an archaeologist. I had worked with dead people and bones and trying to figure out, what is it that I'm trying to get at? What is this? And here it is. It's working with the spirit realm through the living.
Right. I think sometimes we need to try different things in order to see what is it exactly that I'm here for and what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, these steps take us closer and closer. I mean, we have a whole life to live. We don't want to be given like absolutely everything we're ever going to do right here and right now. We want it, sprinkled in delicious packets along the way.
It's all about the experiences and the discoveries, I think. You just have to see yourself as Indiana Jones, and you're just here to reveal one piece of the puzzle at a time. All right.
Right. Well,
this is great.
Yeah, and I will just say, because we probably will be closing soon, I would imagine, right? I will say this, that when you're in the spirit realm, you're non-physical. You are energy. And even though we are energy here, we have a tactile, physical dynamic that we get to experience, and that is delicious. And I think that is why we came here. We wanted to be physical. So we wanted to have those, we wanted to have our lovers. We want to have delicious food. We want to run and play and skip and wee. So that is why we're here. So we're not here to get all worried and fearful and oppressed by our fears and limitations. We came to just break free of that and really shine our bright light.
Right. We came down here to be surprised, because I think when you're in the spiritual realm, everything is known. There are no surprises. So you kind of long to the not knowing. And then once we're here, we're like, we want to know it all. There's always this duality. But thank you so much, Nora, for doing this with me. And hey, how can people contact you? Where did they go?
Sure. Well, you can find my website at what is it? Oh, yeah. It's essentialhealing101.com. And I also, if you want to see more of what I do, I have my own shows. I have Nora Yolles-young's The Experience, and Emma's going to be on soon, I'm sure. And I also have another show called Rockstar Interviews from Beyond, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw the Prince one. Fun.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I love Prince. Oh, Prince. And I'll just say that my phone number is 808-224-4864, and you can just text me. You know, I'm available and I communicate with people, and you can reach me on my Facebook page. I have a Twitter account. I'm reachable, people. Come find me.
Yes, definitely go find her. She is sweet. She is brave. She is incredible in my book. She's got an enormous compassion, and you know, I felt so safe with you when you did the session, and I didn't know you. You know, that was the
so
first
awesome.
time.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That really means
You're
a lot.
welcome.
That's everything. That's everything to me.
It's about feeling comfortable with the person that you do the session with, and I definitely recommend Nora to everyone.
Aw, Emma, thank you. Well, this has been
You're welcome.
fun.
I know, it was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
I can't wait to figure that one out. That's going to be a hoot.
Uh-oh. All my secrets revealed. All right. I love you.
I love you too. Mwah. Bye, everybody.
I'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.